The first speech is an icebreaker whose objective is to introduce the person the way he sees, talk about himself. It's about, this is first and probably the most important speech that people do. It was for me. I was really nervous that night. And this is the best opportunity for the person to explain and talk about himself. So without further telling, I'd like to introduce Shanil. Shanil or Shanil? Shanil.
So I'm not familiar with the custom that you say Mr. Madam Toastmaster. Yes.
Mr. Toastmaster.
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster. Okay. So my speech today is about just doing an icebreaker and talking about myself. Most people think that the most interesting man in the world is the guy you see in the Dos Equis ad. I respectfully disagree. I would like to think that I'm the most interesting man in the world. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Mumbai, India. I'm not sure if many of you have been there, but it's a pretty crowded city. There are a lot of people there. They have more than, just that city alone has over 20 million people who live there. So I'm used to living in a place where there are tall buildings everywhere you look. There's not a lot of space, crowded streets. And my first 10 years that I lived there, I lived in a little flat, that's the equivalent of a condominium over here, on the 6th floor. My balcony had a really nice view of the beach, and I could see the sunset every evening if I wanted to. And in the evenings, I'd go downstairs, and all the other kids would come downstairs to the building and we'd all play. So I think my first 10 years were awesome as a child growing up there. 2 years after that, when I'm 11 and when I was 11 and 10 years old, my parents decided that they wanted to move, and they wanted to move to Sri Lanka, which is an island in the Indian Ocean, off of the southern tip of India. It's in the shape of a teardrop, so the next time you look at the map, you can identify it. And it's a different place. It's not part of India. It's a country of its own. And when they decided to do that, they put me and my brother in boarding school in India, just so that they could move there and get settled and build a home, and do their research in schools and have everything ready so that we could then come down and join them. So I was in boarding school for 2 years. It was a pretty rough place. Right? It was far away from home, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot about friendship. I learned a lot about having your brother there for you, or being there for your brother. So I learned a lot about family too. And it was good. I was just really small at the time, so I did my 5th grade and my 6th grade there, and it was okay. When I finally moved to Sri Lanka, those were the best years of my life, my time in Sri Lanka. So between 12 and 20, I lived in Sri Lanka during those 8 years, and Sri Lanka was it's like no other place I'd ever been to before. Right? It's a little island. The country in total has just as much people as Mumbai does. So everything is nice and spread out. There are houses there, there are gardens there. I grew up going every other weekend to the beach, and that was fun. I finished my high school there, and one of the coolest things that I had a chance to do was participate in the school play, which was Greece. So that was a lot of fun for me. And then as I began to finish my high school, my parents started talking about college and what I wanted to do. And there weren't too many good colleges there in Sri Lanka that they felt that I could get a good education on. And I look at all my friends around me, and they're all going overseas. Some of them went to Australia, some of them went to the UK, and some of them went to the US. And so I figured, what the hell, if they're going overseas, why don't I go too? So I decided to go to the US. I didn't know anything about this country other than what I'd seen in Hollywood, in the movies, right? And that's all I really knew about this place. So I figured, what the hell, it doesn't matter where I go. Right? I'll just go to the US News magazine, look at the top-ranked colleges and apply to a whole bunch of them, and the highest-ranked college that picks me, I'll go to that college. So that's what I did. I went on, I applied to all these colleges, and I got a whole bunch of rejections and a few acceptance letters. And from all of them that I got into, I got accepted, I picked to go to Virginia Tech. So I picked Virginia Tech, and the time came, I left, and I went to, and I showed up over here. So when I finally got to campus, I looked around, I was like, man, where are all the tall buildings? And I'd see, farms out there, I'd see cows in the farms, like, man, I did not realize that this was going to be a little town. And that was very unexpected. So, coming to this country, 13 years ago was a big culture shock. Fast forward a little bit, and coming close to my graduation, I finally found a job, and I started working in the management consulting field. And some people often ask me, so when was that point when you decided, hey, you wanted to stay here and not go back? The truth is, I don't know, I just stayed. Day after day, I just stayed, and the next thing you know, it's been 13 years that I've been here. I guess it's a little too late to go back now. My family and parents are still back there. I have 2 siblings there. And the one thing that happened to me 5 years ago is I had an epiphany. I decided that, yeah, I think I'm 28 years old now. I think I should get married now. So my parents started to play matchmaker, and they introduced me to my wife, who was in London at the time. And they said, hey, you know what, you're coming to Sri Lanka for vacation, why don't you have a stopover in London together? So I met her, right? We spent 3 days together, and then after that we decided to get married. Right? So that was pretty quick, considering I'd only spoken to her a week before I met her. On the way back, I spent another week with her, we got engaged, and I came back here. So the interesting thing that you'd like to know is, she's not from the UK, she's actually from Kenya, Africa. So the cool thing I get to do is, when I do get time for vacation, I get to go to Africa, and then I get to go to all the nice wildlife safari parks, which is a lot of fun. In conclusion, what I would like to add is, I don't drink beer often, my friends, but when I do, it's with my pet cheetah over here. That's my pet cheetah.
Oh.